Well, I was right. I called it. I did a video maybe about 3 months ago. Actually, it's 4 months ago, actually. And talking about how I thought that Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, was going to make over $1 billion. And it did in its third weekend so far, which is kind of crazy because the last two only made around 800, 900 million each, which is still a lot of money. But it's really crazy. So if you look right here, it just crossed the $1 billion mark, making 1,029,000,000. If you look at the weekend, you can see every weekend it started out of the gate at 211 and it's dropped by 50, then 54%, then 44%. And if you look at the charts of all time, right now domestically, it is the number one rated R movie all time with almost 500 million domestically. But it has one more record to beat. Worldwide, the Joker holds a spot as 1,078,000,000. So I think it's easily gonna beat that. It'll probably beat it today or tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, probably beat that. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, I called it. I thought this movie was gonna be good. Now I didn't want to get on here and talk about it crossed $1 billion, yay, which is great. I want to talk about more about how is this going to look in terms of the future for comic books and in general, and maybe even a little bit about the MCU. So a lot of people may or may not know, but the reason why we had such a huge comic book boom during like 2020, 2021 wasn't just because money was basically free to borrow and interest rates really low, all that kind of money is flowing everywhere. That was part of it. That was a big part of it. But it was also because comics were steadily going up because they're just this fever of just the MCU was hitting on all cylinders and people, and that's the thing, that's what people don't realize. Comic books is supply and demand. So what happens when someone goes and watches a couple movies and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Deadpool or I love so-and-so, Miles Morales or whoever the character is after they see him on the screen. And then they're like, and then they start, going down that rabbit hole on Instagram, on YouTube, or whatever, and they start like looking that character up, and they're like, "Oh, it first appeared in this comic book. Oh, that comic book's kind of cool." And they see other people talking about the comic book, and like, "Oh, this is his first appearance. And it's worth this much, and it used to be worth that much." Blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And so then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it's like, "Oh, this is really cool. It'd probably be cool if I owned it." Because they're talking amongst their friends. They get into like new groups where it's kind of like new comic book community groups, things like that. So you get supply and demand. You get a new demand from people going and watching this movie. Now, recently, the demand has shrunk because all those people that got into comics may have been getting out because they got burned, or they just like, dude, it's like, these movies suck. Like, they're not into it anymore. So they're no longer participating in the comic community. So having this Deadpool movie do very, very well, that's going to show like, hey, we can still make billions of dollars. And I hate, there's nothing, well, there's lots of things more, but there's something that pisses me off is people say superhero fatigue. I'm like, that's just dumb. That's just so stupid. There's no such thing as that. You make a great movie, people are going to watch it. There's no such thing as superhero fatigue. They've always loved superhero movies and superhero genre since the dawn of time. I mean, literally the dawn of time, because, look at literally where superheroes came from. Was Greek god mythology. So it's been ingrained in us since forever. Look at all old ancient texts. They're all about basically superheroes in a sense. They have either magical powers or they go on magical quests and they get stuff. It's ingrained in us. People love this stuff. So there's no such thing as superhero fatigue. That's just stupid talk. It's bad movie fatigue. And they've been making a ton of bad movies lately. And they're not like, people are like, oh, it made hundreds of millions of dollars. How can it be a bad movie? Just because it made a bunch of money at the box office does not make it a good or a bad movie. It's like, okay, what happens the next time? The next movie, the next movie, the next movie. That's how you know if it's a good movie. It's like people coming back. The reason why Deadpool 3 did so well is because the first one was really good. The second one was good. I think it was a step down, but still good. And you bring back Hugh Jackman, who everyone loves. And so now it's a step up. Obviously, you have to make a good movie. And most people that came out of the audience had a great time. So there you go. So what does this mean for the future? I don't know. Personally, I think the Thunderbolts aren't going to be very good. I don't think Captain America 4 is going to be very good. I think Deadpool 3 was kind of on its own, like a thing to itself, not really part of the whole MCU plan. I hope the powers that be learn from Deadpool and go, okay, we can make a great movie and people will go watch it. So I think that's going to take a while to get, because these movies don't just come out in a day. They take like 2 to 4 years to get made from like concept to whatever. I mean, the Blade movie hasn't even been, that was announced 5 years ago, and who knows when it'll ever come out. So it takes a long time to get these movies made. So there's still people, bad people at their job that are still working over at Disney and Marvel that hopefully get fired and not allowed near movies ever again because they just totally mess them up and they don't really know what the people want. So they more try to give the people what they want to give, not necessarily trying to give what the people actually want, what these fans want. And that's the thing. It's like you got to go after the fans. There's lots of fans out there. Don't try to cater to the non-fan. Don't piss off the fans. That's the worst thing you could do because these people forget that these characters, most of them are older than most of the people that exist on this planet. I mean, there's not that many people that are older than Superman. There's just not. That exists. What, he came out in 1937? How many people were alive prior to 1937? Not that many people. So most people, these characters are very, very old. So there's a reason why they existed for so long. Nonetheless, I think this movie will probably, see, it's at 1.5, or like probably, I don't know, 1.5 billion is probably a stretch because it's really only bringing in like 40 something million a weekend. It'll probably be the 1.2, 1.3 is probably will end up at that point. So let's see. Have a good day.